Hey guys, Eric Corner here, BPIsecurity.com, weekly announcement. I wanted to stop by today to go over two topics and end this broadcast with a recommendation. The first thing I want to go over is the blog I did a couple days ago called Seizing Moments in Order to Seize the Day. And the idea from that blog came from last week's TBOS.TV, the Business of Security.tv's podcast interview where Larry Snow interviewed Elijah Shaw. Now, the subtitle of that entire interview was called Carpe Diem, which means seize the day. And I thought about it, and I think in order to seize the day, there are moments that you can seize, and the sum total of those moments will make you feel like you've seized the day. Point in fact, for me, at the end of every day, I evaluate myself on how effective I was and how relevant I was throughout the day towards the industry. I evaluate myself in terms of how effective I've been or relevant I've been with my clients as well as the specialists that work under me. And I do that every day. And at the sum total of that evaluation, if I felt like I was effective, then I've seized the day and I haven't wasted anybody's time or I haven't wasted the industry's time. For specialists, I think where it becomes disenchanting for them is in that hiatus period when they're between details and nothing's going on, when you have a hard time trying to figure out what to do. You can seize those days by doing things to maintain your relevancy and your importance within the industry. There are insurmountable amount of ways to do that. Social media, staying relevant on social media, reading articles related to the industry. There are countless articles out there that are written and published by experts in this industry that you can stay current within the industry. And if the sum total of your day, if you feel like you've learned something that has really sharpened your knife, so to say, then you seize the day. But if you're not doing any of that, you're wasting time. Okay, so that was topic number one. Number two, I want to talk about the blog I did today, which was Halls and Walls. And the impetus of that blog came from a post yesterday, a picture yesterday that was posted on Facebook. And the picture's title was Halls and Doorways. And it got a slew of comments under that picture. A lot of them were funny. Some of them were, I guess, not as funny, but they were kind of serious comments. And I think that Halls and Walls has gotten a bad reputation. And one of the comments I made on there is that people underestimate the character that can be built from working Halls and Walls. The problem with the Halls and Walls is the bad name it has been given. It's almost like it's Dungeons and Dragons. Like in the past, Halls and Walls was almost like the ritual that you had to go through in order to elevate to the close-in protection team. It was something, a rite of passage, so to say, or a hazing incident that everybody had to work Halls and Walls. And I think the bad rep comes from poor leadership on the detail, whereas guys get stuck in these Halls and Walls and that's all they do. Now, from a specialist standpoint, you don't want to be back there all day long. You want to be where the action is. You want some human contact throughout the day that makes you feel, important. Hey, I'm on this detail too, whether I'm standing here in this lobby, but people can see me. But when you're stuck in that back of the house, Halls and Walls, which is an important posting. And while I'm on that topic, let me just go over one thing that Mark always says. If you can't write an effective post order for a specific post, then maybe you shouldn't have that post. And there's no sense putting somebody on a post that's not necessary. The other factor, I think the reason why Halls and Walls gets a bad rep is because there's no push or effective rotation to get those guys moving around the detail so they're not stuck in one spot all day long. No one can be effective more than 1 hour on one post without a rotation. And if you rotate these guys throughout the entire detail, let's say you have 5 posts and you do a rotation or a push, as we call it, every hour. By the end of the 5th hour, they're almost halfway through their shift and they've gone through the entire detail. What we do is on one of those posts, it'll be a sitting post in the rotation or a break. So let's say you have a half-hour push. And once you get to that 4th hour, you have a half-hour break. So what that does is keeps everybody revitalized. It doesn't get them stagnant to the point where they're looking at the same door, the same carpet texture, and counting tiles all day long. You can't be effective that way. And I think that is probably the reason why Halls and Walls has gotten such a bad name. start implementing those pushes and those rotations to get those guys from behind those doors, I mean, out of those long hallways and those dark hallways for a long period of time. And I think the stigma that has been put on halls and walls will change, because they're a very important part of the overall detail and overall security. All right. Hopefully that made today's blog a little bit more understanding. What I wanted to end with is this. I started off by talking about season moments and things that you can do during that hiatus time or in between details time. And one of the things I always encourage is guys to read. So today I'm going to recommend a book that I've recommended in the past that I think a couple people took my recommendation and started reading. But this is the book I want to recommend. It's Paul Howe's book, Leadership and Training for the Fight. Paul Howe is a former Master Sergeant, former Delta unit guy. You can read about him. Just go to the internet. I'm not going to spill his biography out here, but you can go read about him. All the guys who are in the military know of Paul Howe, and I think a lot of the specialists know of Paul Howe. It's a great written book. Great written book. It applies to everybody. Everybody. I mean, teachers could read this book and be effective. Specifically, guys in this industry, it does affect and can help how you operate in this industry and how you lead in this industry. So that's all I want to talk about. Next week, I'm going to make another recommendation on another book. A good friend of mine, Robert Dubois, his book is called Powerful Peace, that's coming out. And I'm going to make a recommendation next week. So that's all I had today. Hopefully, the two topics I talked about kind of elaborate on the two blogs that I did this week. Don't forget to subscribe. I keep forgetting to mention every week. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave your comments if you have any. Other than that, always remember, when you're on a detail, there are two protectees: the man or woman in the back right seat and your reputation. Either one get harmed, you're done.